Welcome to The Breakdown with Birkenoff. I'm your host, Wyatt Birkenoff, and for today's video we're going to shortly go over my general thoughts of what to expect in this final and second presidential debate. Obviously, if you followed any of the presidential debates layouts, there was supposed to be 3, but the second got turned into 2 separate town halls because of Trump's COVID-19 testing positive, although he ended up beating the virus before the debate physically started, so the whole town halls could have physically been a debate, but then again, you're all arguing kind of in circles, so the second debate ended up just getting canceled outright. But this second debate is happening now, so I just thought I would give my general thoughts of what to expect on this final presidential debate before Election Day on November 3rd. And obviously this is only about 2 weeks if I'm thinking right, from the time that we're actually physically casting in our votes. I believe it's 12 days, so a little bit under the 2 weeks. And so this is going to have some significance over how people vote, but really the majority of people, at least mail-in ballot people, have already decided their opinion. Now, those who have physically sent their mail-in ballots have obviously made their opinion, but you get what I'm saying. And this video isn't going to be as long as my last one that ended up being like 45 minutes. So I don't plan to talk as much about this one as I did the last time. But enough jibble jabble, let's get into the actual topic of this video fully. So this last presidential debate is happening at 9 Eastern Time or 8 o'clock Central Time, which is the better time zone. No questions about that. And it's going to be live streamed on CNBC, on CNBC, and any other real major news network as far as how to find the debate. I think many people know how to do that already. There's going to be several topics that are going to be shown or talked about within this major debate stage. And one of those topics is with how climate change is going to have a role, and we're going to get into some others, but I just wanted to throw that first topic out there and talk a little bit about it. Now, climate change is a big topic within especially Democratic-leaning voters. The Democratic-leaning voters tend to believe that climate change does exist and physical action needs to be taken against it. And to make the stereotype on the other side, Republican voters tend to say that climate change doesn't exist, or they may say it does exist, but there's nothing we can necessarily do about it. So those are kind of the two mods or two types of ideas when it comes to climate change as a major topic. But climate change generally getting debated on the debate stage is something where if you're a Democratic-leaning voter, you want to hear about, but if you're a Republican-leaning voter, you could probably care less about climate change and not want to hear about it on the presidential debate stage and rather hear a topic like gun control, because gun control hasn't really been a topic that has been brought up yet. And the people who are major supporters of Donald Trump are conservative-leaning in general want to hear Biden's gun control plan because he has talked about it but hasn't really given any details. So if you're someone that doesn't necessarily go to the campaign websites or websites about the campaign or analysis pieces of websites, of the presidential websites or the candidates' websites or whatever else, then you might not know fully what Joe Biden's gun plan is. I could tell you myself, I've looked briefly at it, and it doesn't necessarily follow everything you would think that Joe Biden's plan would need. In other words, it is very strict. So if you actually read the gun plan, it is going to be a massive political topic at the time if Joe Biden becomes president and decides to start his gun control plan that he has on his website, if that's the one he ends up going with, which you can argue too, because in general, presidential candidates on both sides, Trump and Biden, are going to make campaign promises they can't necessarily hold. It's a big type of fantasy. And both sides do it, especially Donald Trump with the wall. He said it would be fully built and Mexicans would pay it, or Mexico would pay for it. Now, obviously, this was a huge imagination, but it lit his right-leaning voters are his target base to go into the ballot box and vote for Donald Trump because of the wall and the Mexicans would pay for it and stuff like that. So those campaign promises are obviously something that is very interesting. Another topic that I've heard is to do with the moderator of this debate, which is Kristen Welker, even though I've heard it called Walker, but I'm pretty sure it's Kristen Welker. And she, being the moderator, is somebody that in general leans towards Joe Biden. So due to that, I'm expecting Joe Biden to have a similar performance as he had to his first presidential debate. And the reason I say that is Joe Biden's whole approach to his entire candidacy is being someone that people could see as civil and someone that is patient, somebody that is calm under attack. That is his entire campaign is that he wants to be seen as the sane individual compared to Donald Trump's complete bullish and attacks. So if Joe Biden maintains his more moderate approach of being civil on the debate stage and Trump goes out and attacks as he did on the first presidential debate, I think Joe Biden could be in for another presidential debate win when it comes to the debate stage for today. But another real thing that surprised me and I think could potentially make for a more civil debate is the debate committee or the debate commission decided that they are going to mute the mics at the start of each segment, meaning that when the presidential candidate is talking about their topic, the other one's mic is going to be muted until they finish, and then the mic is going to be unmuted and allow for discourse between the two candidates on the debate stage. And I do think that this could have a huge role in limiting the amount of interruptions the debate stage has. Now, obviously, in the debate, you do want to have the talk back and forth. But anybody who watched the first debate with Chris Wallace, Joe Biden, and Joe Biden knows that wasn't a debate in any sort of form, and it was rather just an attacking match. And I'm surprised boxing gloves weren't thrown out to each candidate at the end. So I'll read some of this article from NPR that talks about these muted mics. The Commission on Presidential Debates announced changes in the debate rules ahead of Thursday's final presidential debate. Under the new rules, President Trump and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden will have each 2 minutes of uninterrupted time to speak at the beginning of every 15-minute segment of the debate. The only candidate whose microphone will be open during those 2-minute periods is the candidate who has the floor under the rules, the commission announced after that. There will be time for discussion with both candidates' microphones open. The commission says both campaigns have agreed to 2-minute uninterrupted rule. This is an effort to allow Trump and former Vice President Biden more adequate time to answer questions in the final presidential debate. The question comes after a chaotic first presidential debate that was significant interruptions from both major party candidates, primarily from Trump. And it goes on to talk about that a little bit more. And as I was just saying, I do think that this could play a potential good role. And if Trump decides to be more civil in this debate stage and follow the 2-minute muted mic rule without using his voice instead of the mic to kind of interrupt Biden more on a personal, lower voice level and not using the mic to pronounce to everyone. I don't know if that makes any sense. But in other words, if he just is blurting out answers by mouth without the mic picking it up still, then Trump could still seem very bullish and very just uncivil. But if Trump does follow the 2-minute rules and doesn't interrupt that much during the 2-minute muted mic sessions, I do think that Trump and Biden could both be seen as rather civil and rather moderate, so it would just depend on what they say or what they attack each other with. And I do think if that's the case, Trump could potentially win the debate because he is very much more bullish, very much more attacking, very much more on his toes. He's very good at attacking and making you uncomfortable on the debate stage. He did that especially during the 2016 with all the Republicans on the debate stage. He made everyone uncomfortable and kind of flustered, and he could do that to Biden if he does follow those rules, and then I think that Trump could potentially win. Now, talking about the topics of other than climate change, there's a lot probably going to be talked about on COVID still, and I do think that COVID's going to be a major topic, as Joe Biden's going to say, I could have done better than you, and President Trump is going to say, all you have to do is all you said you were going to do was just follow what I already did, as Mike Pence called as Mike Pence called it in the vice president debate, that it was just outright plagiarism. Now, this next one, which 538 did a polling analysis of who was going to win this last presidential debate. So it says in this figure here, how likely are you to vote for each? 5.2 are for Joe Biden and 3.8 are for Trump. Then it says, how likely do you think each is to win? And it has Joe Biden at 4.8 and President Trump at 4.5. Now, obviously, that is a significantly close 0.3 margin of error, which is definitely closer than you would think beforehand. And I do think this is because of the muted mics, and I do think that distinctly might give an advantage to Donald Trump. Although if you listen to Donald Trump's campaign, he tends to think that is a disadvantage and a favoritism towards Joe Biden, because they could simply just mic what Trump wants to say or interrupt with whenever they want to. And I do think that there is some truth to that, but if Trump does follow what he agreed to, it could potentially be good, but I do think that Joe Biden has the upper hand going into this debate. Respondents are very sure of who they plan to vote for. 45% of respondents said that they are absolutely certain to vote for Biden, and 32% said that the same of Trump. Very few are torn. Just 2% said they were split 50-50 between Biden and Trump. However, despite Biden's commanding lead in polls and among the respondents in their survey, many remain skeptical that he can win the presidency overall. 37% of respondents said either Trump or Biden was absolutely certain to win, while 16% thought it was a total loss, up to 50-50. And then it goes in to break down those statistics. Now, I just thought I would end with that in a general presidential debate and who they think would win through the people they responded to. And obviously, it was very close. Now, who they were likely to vote for definitely leaned more heavier towards Joe Biden than it did Donald Trump. But when it was who likely to win this debate stage, it was 0.3% closer. So I do think that the general public is feeling like this debate is much more even than the last one. Even though if you asked people before the first debate started, many people thought Donald Trump would win, just simply based off of Joe Biden's mental cognitibility that people were questioning. But Donald Trump came out so bullish, it overrided the potential health problems Joe Biden could have, and had Joe Biden being almost the clear winner of that debate stage. So I do think if Trump takes a more civil route, he could potentially win this last debate. Just a few channel announcements before we get out of here. I am about to release a documentary analysis piece that I've been doing and working on. It's very different than my usual video, so I hope you enjoy it, especially if you're a fan of documentaries or what's going on in today's political culture. I'll feel like you probably will like the analysis piece, but I don't know exactly when I am going to release it, but it's either going to be at the end of October or mid-November around Thanksgiving break. But I also recently released a video about the Antifa protest yesterday that you can find on my YouTube channel, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff. And again, just a quick reminder, I am also on Twitch and DLive at The Breakdown with WB. And I hope to see you there, and thank you for watching today's video.